Wearable technology. Wearable technology is an emerging technology which has received a great deal of recent press. It is a broad category which includes things such as fitness trackers, clothing embedded with sensors, tattoos, and even digestible pills. However, wearable technology is still an emerging market, and I have included some pictures of current wearables that have gotten a lot of recent press. Here is a picture of the Pebble smartwatch and the Google Glass logo. We're going to start off with a brief history of wearables by going back to the future. And this is a picture from the 1980s movie Back to the Future where Marty McFly is wearing his calculator watch. Although some consider the beginning of the wearable technology movement to have started with the 1945 article by Vanderveer Bush, as we may think, that described a wearable camera, it is generally acknowledged that Steve Mann, a professor in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering in Canada, is the father of wearable technology. And here you can see him in 1981 wearing his digital eye glass, a wearable computer and augmented reality system. A form of wearable computing that was much more common in the 1980s was the calculator watch. It was invented in 1975 by Pulsar and had its heyday in the 1980s. It is a digital watch with a calculator built in. The 1990s saw further developments in wearable technology. Here's a picture in the late 1990s of the MIT wearables team. And as you can see, wearable technology in the 1990s was still very big and bulky. The picture of the tracker is a wearable device that allowed people to map on the go. The 2000s saw further refinements in the use of wearable technology. Here's a picture of the Fossil Wrist PDA, which is a PDA system that fit on your wrist by Fossil. Smaller, still pretty big, and still pretty limited in use. And this is a picture in the early 2000s of something called the Twiddler, which is a one-handed keyboard, and it's being used here with an optical device for recording picture. The 2010s have seen a real explosion in the refinement of wearable computing, and here we have pictures of three various products from the 2010s. Epson's Moviro glasses, Nike's Fuel armband fitness tracker, and an intelligent headset from the Danish audio specialist GN. These are much smaller devices and don't look so bulky, and there has been much more adoption of these particular technologies. The biggest uses for wearables at the moment probably are in the business markets. Healthcare is where wearable technology really has a lot of use. It can be used to monitor patient health and improve doctor efficiency. Wearables are also very useful in big data because it can give business access to actual real-time data. In the field of logistics, wearable technologies can be used, for instance, to read barcodes and help people locate items in a large warehouse. And technicians, construction workers, or any other industry where people need information but need their hands to be free, wearables have potentially great uses. And here we can see a surgeon using Google Glass, and this will allow him to do the surgery using his hands but still receive information on his glasses. And this is an X1 safety glasses by XOI, and here a technician has access to things like user manuals and specifications while still being able to operate the equipment. Consumer uses for wearables. The consumer market for wearables is, I would say, in an early adopter stage. There are two major categories of wearables that are currently popular in the consumer market, and those would be fitness monitors, such as the Nike Fuel armband, and smartwatches, such as the Samsung Galaxy Gear. The predicted use of consumer wearable technology is to interface with devices rather than people. So we could think of maybe a smartwatch that would allow you to do things like control the thermostat in your home, maybe unlock doors at a distance, receive alerts about emails and texts and phone calls, but it's not going to be used primarily, at least as people are using them right now, to interface with other people. So it's a technology to interface with devices rather than people. The current market: on April 16th, Google Glass went on sale to the general public for one day, and that generated excitement. It also generated some controversy. One point of controversy was over the price of Google Glass. It's pretty expensive. It costs about $1,500. And there are also privacy concerns around Google Glass. It has the ability to capture audio and video pretty without people knowing it. So there are people who object to Google Glass on the grounds that it could be an invasion of privacy. And in San Francisco, where there's a lot of early adopters, that has become quite controversial. The Pebble smartwatch and the Galaxy Gear have a growing following among consumers. However, we see Nike just recently having fired workers who are working to develop its Fuel armband. That might be one of the first fitness trackers to go. So we can say that the market is in an early adopter stage. We don't know what the standards will be. We don't know what the products will be that'll be around in a year. So there's a lot of flux in this market. There are potential uses in libraries for wearable technologies. So wearable technologies could help in logistics, just like we saw with the warehouse. It can assist in tracking materials in your collection. You can read barcodes, for instance, with something like a Google Glass. It also can be used as an assistive technology. So Google Glass can provide real-time optical character recognition and text-to-speech translation for the visually impaired. Google Glass can be used for real-time foreign language translations. For people who want to read things in languages other than English. It also can be used to communicate with patrons who don't speak English as their primary language. Things like smart headphones could also be used for those purposes. The library can use something like a smartwatch to send users quick updates. Let's say that they want to say that their hold has come in, or a book is overdue, or the program is available. That could potentially be sent to a smartwatch. And libraries also have a role to lend this new technology to users to help introduce users to new technologies that might be useful in their lives. And here we can see people using Google Glass. This is Dominican assistant professor Carrie Lynn Reinhardt using a Google Glass, and the Google Glass being introduced in the 2013 ALA Midwinter meeting. But there are various barriers to adoption of wearable technology which need to be noted. 1/3 of American consumers who have owned one wearable product in the last year have abandoned it within 6 months. So you can see that there's a growing market on eBay for things like smart watches, which you can buy quite easily at heavily discounted prices. consumers are confused as to what the usefulness is of wearable technology. Most successful technology introductions replace existing consumer functions. So we can think about a technology like an MP3 player. Um, that was replacing portable CD players, portable cassette players. So there was already a function out there that we needed a better set of technologies to meet. And that's what led to the popularity of something like an iPod. Um, Another function being met, the need to have email on the go, the need to get phone calls, the need to maybe store music all in one place, led to the development of things like smartphones. But what function do the current wearables meet? What function is being met by a Galaxy Gear smartwatch? That's hard to currently define. Also, there's a lot of resistance to using wearable technology because it's often considered awkward and ugly, which is leading to consumer reluctance to buy into wearables. So I heard that something like a smartwatch is being described as the spork of fashion, um, not very fashionable, um, and and a lot of people just do not want to own one. So it leads to the questions, do consumers actually want wearables? What benefits do wearables have over smartphones and tablets for the average consumer? So for instance, there are now mobile apps that are more sophisticated and do many of the same functions that wearables do. So if we look at fitness trackers, there are now mobile apps that can do most of the same functions of a fitness tracker. You don't need to buy a separate device to have a pedometer, for instance. So, um, so to some extent, people are foregoing buying wearable technology and just getting apps for their smartphones. This is an early adopters market. Right now, it is unclear what the future of wearable technology will be. What products will be around in the next year, next 2 years, next 5 years. It's hard to say right now. So this is probably not the time for libraries to make heavy financial investments in wearable technology. I think wearable technology is an interesting trend to watch. It could have various uses in the libraries, probably more in business functions rather than consumer functions, at least for the time being. So I wouldn't say that developing websites to be displayed on smartwatch is a practical investment right now. And I think they're here to stay. Wearable technology is here to stay, but in what form and what devices will be around, we don't know at the moment.